Recording is started. So it's Tuesday, March 1st. Tomorrow's the SAT. If you, you should know where you're going to be tomorrow. Almost all you guys take the SAT. I've got all your names in this packet right here. You need to check where you're supposed to be. A couple of guys might not be taking it if you're like a senior. I know I'm going to be in this room tomorrow. So if you're not taking it, you can just come here for regular class. Might want to check with your other teachers, make sure there's no relocations at a time. All right, so we're going to be doing questions from section 3. Section 3, you get, I think, 25 minutes to do 20 questions. So it works out to about a minute per question. On this Kahoot we're about to do, I'm going to give you guys about 90 seconds per question, which is a bit of spare time, right? So however much time you get per question today, tomorrow, remember that you need to work a little bit faster. Okay. All right, here we go. Number 1. What's the solution to that system of equations? Ooh, all right. This guy's got that. All right, so they gave you this system. Now, there are different methods you can use to solve systems of equations. One process is substitution, one process is elimination. You can even do matrices. I did substitution here, substitution. So I took this bottom equation, rearranged it x in terms of y, right? And then took that and pop it right into this x right here. So this is 2x, but instead of x, I'm using x in terms of y. Plus this 3y is -9. Now I have one equation, one unknown, distribute, solve for y. Y ends up being -1. Once you have one of your values, you plug it back into any of the previous. So maybe like this right here, get x is -3, the coordinate is -3, -1, x, y. Okay. Number 2. X, y is a solution. What is the value of y over x? Oh, I need to tell you guys, I did switch options B and C from how they normally are, just so they match the SAT format. Right. So, yeah, so x equals 4 times, and then in parentheses, x plus y. X equals 4 times the sum of x and y. And the question is, what is y over x? Option B is normally blue and option C is normally yellow, but I swapped those two, they're backwards. So ABCD goes red, yellow, blue, green. All right. So SAT really likes these questions where a lot of times they'll make you solve for X and Y, and then they'll say, do one last operation, either do X times Y or X plus Y or X minus Y, or in this case, well, Y over X, right? So my first thought was, well, maybe I'll solve for X and solve for Y, but then really quickly you can figure out, well, there is no single solution for X and Y because this is like an equation of a line, right? You could graph this, right? So, okay, well, maybe I'll just distribute that 4 and then just manipulate this until it looks like Y over X. So get all the X's together, looks like this line, right? Negative 3X equals 4Y. Then divide this X down, divide this 4 down. Okay, looks like that. And that's the answer. All right. Now, what are X and Y exactly? Well, they could be a lot of things. For example, if X was equal to 1,000, wouldn't Y have to be equal to negative 750, right? To equal this ratio, right? So there's one possible solution, right? So there you go. Next. Number 3. Isosceles. So the giant triangle is isosceles. That means that 2 of the sides are the same. PR equals QR, and PQ is equal to 64. So this top side is equal to 64. If the ratio ST to SU is a 5:3 ratio, 5:3 ratio, what is the length of SQ? That's 55 seconds. One of my students yesterday played off multiple choice options and said, hey, I can very quickly narrow it down from those options. How about this? That picture looks kind of to scale. Do you think that this length has to be less than half of the whole thing? Half of 64 would be 32. It has to be less than 32. You guys say it has to be less than 32?
Yes.
Right? Oh, look at us go.
I'm on the podium.
Right, so gave you this isosceles triangle, these 2 sides were the same. They told you this length was 64. So this might be like 64 inches, for example. And then they told you some ratios, like this to this, they said was a 5:3 ratio. Now I wrote the numbers 5 and 3 really small here, but those are not like 5 inches and 3 inches. That's just whatever they are. It's like 5 and 3 ratio, right? Do some geometry. You can sort of figure out. I mean, if you have a rectangle here, right? That this is 5, this is 5, this is 3, this is 3, because there's a similar isosceles triangle right here. Right? Okay. No, again, not like 3 inches, but just to say that this to this is also a 5:3 ratio. This is the way I thought of it. I don't know. Might not even be the best way, but if that's true, do you guys see that the small length compared to the full length is a 3:8 ratio, right? 3:8. Is that right? And then to expand that to the top side, SQ over PQ is also a 3:8 ratio. Okay, right. So then if you set that up, you say SQ over PQ is 64 inches, for example, right? Is a 3:8 ratio. You can solve for SQ and it's being 24. Okay. Or yeah, like one of my students saw yesterday, if you play out those multiple choice options, SQ has to be less than half of the full top side, which is less than 32. That very quickly narrows it down to a couple of answer choices. So that's what you can do too. Yeah. Number 4. Foster estimates the expected profit in dollars from 1 week's operation of his family's chocolate-covered banana stand using the expression 4BD minus 200. Pause right here. You guys taking an economics class? Profit, isn't that revenue minus cost? That sure does look like revenue minus cost. Where B is the number of bananas sold each day. D is the number of days that stand is open during the week. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the number 4? Right? 4. So 4 times bananas times days open. That probably has something to do with revenue, probably. Is it that there will be 4 bananas sold each day? Is that the price of the banana increases by $4 each day? Is that the number of customers will increase by a factor of 4 each day? Is that the banana stand charges $4 per chocolate covered banana? $4 per banana times number of bananas times number of days.
I do, you're right.
Right?
It's like,
Right. You guys get that?
it's like, you like bananas.
All right. So I think you guys get on that one, right?
Look at
Dia holding on to a slim lead. Number 5. The number of Java Gems coffee stores that existed in 2003 is approximately half of the additional stores that were added in the decade following. If approximately 700 Java Gems were open in 03 and Y stores were added in the decade following, which of the following equations is true? Anyway, I can think of a couple ways to solve this. One way is just to figure out what is y equal to, and the other way is you could directly translate the sentence into an equation, and either way will lead to the right answer. Okay, so how about this? If you start with 700, and then in the decade following, you added twice as many, then wouldn't that twice as many y be equal to 1400? Right? So which equation is consistent with y equals 1400? Right? Or you can translate the sentence. So 700 is equal to half of the number that were added. Either way you do it, doesn't the answer have to be this one right here?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. You guys did awesome. Knock that one out. That one took some thinking. Sometimes SAT likes to do that too, is they'll not ask for an exact solution, but they'll say, well, what equation could represent this that you could solve that could lead to the answer? And again, you can either translate the sentence or you can actually solve it and say which equation would be consistent. Natalie taking the top spot, and Netta not too far behind. Number 6. Stream Supreme, a streaming movie service, charges a large monthly fee and then a small cost per movie stream. Another service, Download Empire, charges a small monthly fee but a large cost per stream. If M represents the number of movies streamed in a particular month, what are all the values of them for which Stream Supreme monthly charge is less than Download Empire? Give you guys a hint. Since each of those are linear equations, there's only one tipping point where it'll go from one to the other, which means it can't be, well, between this number of movies and that number of movies. No, it's got to be like once you hit a certain movie number, movie count, switch over from one plane to the other plane. I'm saying it can't be B or C. It has to be either A or D. Okay. Oh, all right. Right, so one stream panel looked like this. There was a huge upfront fee, but then a small cost per movie, right? And then the other plan was, oh, you don't pay much up front, but then there's more cost per movie. Now I'm thinking if guys, if you only watch like 1 or 2 movies per month, which plan would you be better off with? Probably this one right here, right? What if you watch like 10 or 15 movies per month? Well, now you're better off with this one, right? Because of a different plan, right? But where is that tipping point? That's to say, where is this greater than this, right? What's the tipping point? So subtract the x term over, subtract the 4 over, it looks like this. Divide both sides by 0.5 or multiply by 2, either way. 6 is the tipping point. Or if you graph, like what's the, how much you're paying as a function of the number of movies. Well, I said X, they said M, but same idea, right? Right. My X is their M, right? So these two linear equations, they cross where the number of movies is equal to 6, okay? And you're better off going with the other plan. 6 movies. Actually, if you watch exactly 6 movies, then it would be a wash. You could go with either plan and it would both be equal to each other. Number 7, crazy looking formula models the productivity index Q in barrels per day of an oil well with a pressure differential of difference in P's, a permeability K, a pay zone thickness H, viscosity mu, drainage factor D. Which of the following gives H in terms of all the other variables?
P1, on the other P up top, where's it say P? I can't see the little.
Yeah, it's difference of P's to the power of K. Well, I mean, yeah, you guys see the answer can't be A or B because it doesn't even have the pressure differential in it. Right, so it's got to be one of these guys, right? Okay, so can't quite make out a subscript either. Is that P sub L? P sub E? E? WF? Okay, something like that. Pressure differential. Basically solve for H in terms of the other variables. Ooh, all right. So it's really boiled down to this principle here, where if x is equal to a over b times y, and you solve for y, can you just take this coefficient and flip and multiply it to the other side like this, right? Okay, so they did have a big complicated looking equation, but that's really all it boiled down to. Yeah, x equals a over b times y, right? So isn't y equal to b over a times x? So take the mu d, cross multiply it up, take the pressure differential to the k, divide that down, boom, just like that. I remember seeing another SAT question that was kind of like this too. It involved something to do with like interest rates and taking out a loan. It was also a very fancy looking equation, but it was like the same principle. It looked big and fancy, but it was just something like this. Okay. Natalie Netta leading, keeping the lead. Number 8. S equals 110 plus 4C is used to model the relationship between number of scoops S of ice cream sold per day at a particular ice cream shop and the temperature C in degrees Celsius. According to the model, what is the meaning of the number 4 in the equation? I'm gonna go with this one with you guys. See, for every increase of 1 degree Celsius, 4 more scoops will be sold. Right? Huh? I didn't think about that, because if it was 0 degrees Celsius, you would sell 110 scoops. If you bumped it up a degree, you would sell 4 more scoops. If you bumped up another degree, you would sell 4 more scoops. See, for every decrease of 1 degree, for every increase of 4 degrees, for every decrease, let's look at option C anyway. For every increase of 4 degrees Celsius, 1 more scoop. No, because if it increased by 4 degrees Celsius, wouldn't you increase by 16 scoops? Right? You guys see the answer has to be A. Is there any question why the answer is A and not one of the other options? Okay. So the answer is not okay. Yeah. Option C, which is the blue one here, had the ratio backwards, and the other 2 options had something to do with like decrease, which means you'd be subtracting, which was not what was going on. Okay. Oh, Natalie on fire, extending the lead. Yeah. Picking up. Number 9. while saving money to pay for grad school, Stephen created a plan in which the amount of money he saves each month is increased by a constant amount. So he's saving more and more and more each month. If his savings plan, he's going to save $145 during month 3 and then $280 during month 12. Which of the following describes how much money he would have saved, how much it changes between month 3 and month 12? Is it $5, $15, $60, or $45 per month increase? How much is it increasing per month?
No, oh my God.
Another normal.
No, it was in the wrong order and I kept thinking it would be there because of how it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
That was my fault. I didn't know. I know.
yeah, my blue colors are backwards, so you're sorry. All right, okay, so I think everybody got this,
Oh, really?
which is awesome. Just real fast for video completion. This is what I had going on in my mind. Got number of months taken left to right. We got saving per month going up. I thought these like XY coordinates, right? XY, right? So one interpretation of the question is, what is the slope of that line? And the slope of that line raises over run. So change of Y over change in X, point, ends up being $15 increase per month. All right, so you guys got that. Awesome. Naphtha still on fire, still beating. Number 10. Which of the following equations, when graphed in the XY plane, will include only values of Y that are less than 2? Okay, so option A says Y equals negative X squared plus 3. Option B says the absolute value of negative X, all minus 1. Option C says X cubed minus 4. Option D says negative of X minus 1 quantity squared, all plus 1. So like an upside down parabola shifted up. Okay. Right, so this is one of those questions where you had to go through all the multiple choice answers and test them all out. They prod around, look for a counterexample, what would like fail a certain test of Y being equal to 2. Okay. So here's what these look like. Negative X squared plus 3, isn't that an upside down parabola shifted up 3 units? Right. Okay, so does this break Y equals 2? Yes. Right. If you plug in 0 for X, then you get 3, and that's more than 2. So it breaks this line, goes above that line. Okay, so that one's out. Okay. This absolute value one. Well, guys, absolute value is distance from 0. Doesn't that just make it positive? So doesn't that completely nullify this negative sign right here? This negative sign, they could have left it off, it wouldn't change anything. Right? You guys know what absolute value graphs look like? It's just a V shape. In this case, shifted down 1. Okay. Is there any point in this graph that's greater than 2? Yeah, all over the place, right? Most of it is. Right? Plug in like a million, right? Option C, the cubic, X cubed minus 4. Yeah, if you plug in like 100 for X, then yeah, it's definitely above 2, right? So, right. But this last one, okay, what have we got here? Right, so X minus 1 quantity squared. So that has something to do with the parabola shifted to the right 1, flipped upside down because of this negative. So to the right 1, flipped upside down, okay. And also shifted up 1 because of this plus 1. Okay. Now this one never breaks Y equals 2, right? Never reaches it. Guys got it? Now, of course, you don't have to necessarily graph them out, but that's what the graphs look like. But maybe say maybe plug in points that could be closest to providing a counterexample, and the last one is the one that just has no counterexample. All right. Oh man, Ellie's got a pretty good lead. Good. Number 11. F of not x, but f of x plus 1 is 3x minus 4. What is the value of f of negative 4? And don't plug in negative 4 for x, because that's not what they're asking.
So I'm gonna do that. Scaling will be that?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, I will make sure.
Once you just refresh it all, it's just like. It's asking you to find f of negative 4 and f is x plus 4. So negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4.
Ah. Yeah, well,
All right.
I'm back up in second.
Guys, dig into this, right? So what is up negative 4? All right, now guys, what would you plug in for x so that all the stuff comes out to negative 4? How about negative 5? Right? Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. That's what x is negative 5. Guess that, and then point. Okay. Ooh, Richard. Number 12. Okay, you guys remember imaginary numbers? And you guys remember this complex form, a plus bi, real plus imaginary? What is the value of a, like the real value? Can you rewrite this fraction? Couple of hints. Remember, you guys remember like a 4-part pattern to I squared, I to the 3, I to the 4? Do you guys remember conjugate pairs?
Oh, I do know. I remember this one. I didn't want to do in the box.
Ooh. All right, so it looks pretty tough.
I need to see this.
All right, so I do want to remind you guys of this because there's a good chance that it's going to come up tomorrow. Okay, so remember, I is the square root of -1, which is an imaginary number, right? Okay. Weirdly enough, this actually does have some real world applications, but that's not. If you square I, isn't that a square of a square root, which brings back to -1, which is a real number, isn't it? A real number. Okay. I cubed, isn't that like I times I squared? So it'd be -I. I to the 4, it's not like I squared, which is +1. And notice to put a curly bracket around because this is your 4-part category. Because if you go to I to the 5, it's not like I to the 4 times I, which is just 1 times I, which is just I, right? So this is all I to the 5, I to the 6, I to the 7, I to the 8, I to the 9, I to the 10, right? You just, right, 4-part pattern, right? Right, no, you exactly need all that for this problem, but good to know for tomorrow. Okay. This is what they gave you. Somehow you can rewrite this in the form A plus BI. So this is called a complex number, real plus imaginary. Okay. Now, how can you do that? Well, here's where conjugate pair would come in. Now, I don't like this denominator. I don't like having a denominator, right? Because it wouldn't fit in A plus BI. So maybe I should multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of this denominator, which would look like this, right? So remember why this works in theory, because you're technically multiplying by 1, but you're doing it in kind of a fancy way so that when you FOIL out the denominator, the imaginary part goes away. Let's see what happens. FOIL, F-O-I-L. So F-O-I-L, F-O-I-L, and then in the denominator, F-O-I-L. But the O and the I cancel out because you set it up to do that first. That's why you would have picked the conjugate, right? And okay, you're left with something looks like that. Okay, so F and then L is the OI, right? But I squared is -1. So isn't this like 4 minus -9, which is like 4 plus 9, right? And if you claim to the top, similar idea, looks like this, right? This -3i squared becomes +3, right? And, oh, I got 13 here. I got 13i and I got 13. So it looks like this, doesn't it? The 13s all cancel and it's 1 plus 1i. So A and B are each equal to 1. You guys see that? Right? Guys get that? Good with conjugate pairs for tomorrow? And I's. Ooh, Richard extending the lead. 13. What is the sum of all values of P, say both values of P, that satisfy that quadratic equation?
No, just wait, let it be.
All right, -8. And you've got mixed up the yellow and the blue. Sorry about that. Maybe it happens. Okay. Step through this one. Right, so they gave you that. Now, one thing I did see is you could factor out a -3. You don't have to do that. I think it makes it easier, so I went ahead and did that. Just divide the 3 down. Now, the bracketed stuff. This is definitely quadratic. Got a p squared, a p, and a constant. And very conveniently, it's not equal to 0. So you would have wanted that form anyway. Okay. So you could either factor, and that's what I thought. But then what are two numbers that multiply to -2 and add to +8? I don't know. So you guys know going into tomorrow, you have to have the quadratic formula memorized, right? Hopefully you do by now. If not, you guys got well, one day. Okay, so -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4a. There's an applied 1 here. A, C, keep the negative sign, all over 2 times a. Yeah, 2 times 1. That looks like this. Well, -8 over 2 is -4, plus or minus a crazy fraction. Now, remember SAT is not asking for an exact solution. They're asking for what's the sum of the two solutions. So the two solutions are -4 plus this crazy fraction and -4 minus that crazy fraction. If you add those two together, doesn't crazy fraction cancel out? And plus it, minus it, and you get -4 and -4 makes -8. Okay. So a little abstract step right at the end there. Tristan taking second. Got Richard, Tristan, Natalie, Jake, and Ian. Come on for top spot. Number 14. Parabola with that equation, where A, B, and C are constants, is graphed if the parabola passes through the point -1, -1, which of the following must be true? So you guys just plug in the coordinate, right?
Rich, what's your best guess, dog? Rich, what you thinking, man? What you thinking, man? See?
Alright, so they gave you this coordinate. Right, so plug in this -1 for this y, this -1 for this x. Now, this one gets squared, which makes it positive anyway, right? This becomes -b, positive c, is equal to that's the answer right there. Okay, you guys got that? Oh, okay, apparently that one was tougher than I realized. Here. Right, actually, thought you guys were ready to get that one, so let me switch over so you guys can see this one more time. You guys have to jot that down in your notes, or you just plug in the coordinate, right? Remember, negative square is positive. So that wasn't too bad, right? All right. Oh, Natalie back on top. Ooh, Richard close behind. 15. Right, px plus 5 times qx plus 3 equals 8x squared plus rx plus 15. P plus q is 6. What are two possible values for r? Oh, I should tell you guys that they're not looking for P and Q, right? They're looking for R. Yeah. So nobody picked A, right? Oh, sorry. I was gonna give you guys that hint.
Once again. All right, so
this one's kind of a complex problem, involves a few parts, so yeah, if you picked A, that was sort of the red herring answer. So this was the setup. Now, if you FOIL this bit out, expand it out, it looks like this. Right? You say, okay, now I'm gonna start matching what goes with that. I mean, the constant equals the constant, that's definitely a good sign, 50 equals 15. Wouldn't that mean that P times Q has to be equal to 8? So I jot that down, PQ is 8. Another thing you know is that if you factor an X out of these two terms, isn't 3P plus 5Q equal to R? So I'll jot that down. Right? And separately, they told you this. So this was given to you. Right? In fact, I might just focus on these two right here. Right. What are two numbers that multiply to 8 and added 6? And this is where you probably got 2 and 4, right? But they weren't asking for P and Q, they were asking for R. Now, which one's which? Well, it could be either way. This could be 2 and 4, this could be 4 and 2. So if you plug them in one way, you get 22, and if you plug in the other way, you get 26. And the answers were 22 and 26. Okay? All right. I know we're getting down there at the end. Let's at least read the next one. Oh, Isabella! Ooh, swooping in on fire.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Chris. So sorry.
Oh, what's the value of y? See if we can go through this. 4y minus 7y is negative 3y. 8 minus negative 12 is that 8 plus 12, which is 20. So subtract 20 over gives you negative 9. So negative 3y is equal to negative 9. So you guys thinking 3? Oh, also the time is short. Yeah. Richard, Dia, Isabella, Natalie, Sam too. Let's just get to the podium. I think we got enough time to get to the podium. We're gonna get to this Kahoot podium. Somebody's gunning for points. Gunning for points. Last chance.
I have a question on that 3y one. Wouldn't y be negative 3?
Well, it's negative 9 divided by negative 3. So
Oh.
we got Isabella, Dia, and Richard.
I only got 4.
We got Natalie and Sam too. All right. Well, thank you for playing.